11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the walls. The chair is against the walls. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on and behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. We'll come to you live every day at about 7 p.m. Eastern. That's for Pacific for about an hour and 9 minutes each day. We run it live on YouTube. We simulcast it over at gunchannels.com, where we're watching the live comments that are coming in from everybody watching the show. We're also we take the audio from it eventually and post it up on on iTunes as a podcast. So we encourage everybody that's listening to the show now or in the future to leave us some feedback on whatever platform it is you're listening on. It helps us know where you're listening, where you're at, and helps the show get recommended to more listeners. So we appreciate it. There's 5 hosts. 3 of us are in here today. We got Dano jumping in from Illinois. Join us.
Yep, glad to be here. And I gotta ask, where did that little ditty with the flute come from?
This is the new sound that everybody's digging, so we're using it all the time. From YouTube, like audio vault or whatever.
I believe, was that the Welcome to Arizona song?
No, this is the song from Bob. This is Bob's theme from last night's gun show or game show chat, and then we used it this morning for Heavy leaving California because it applies to both. It's like traveling.
Did Heavy actually, is he left with the moving truck today?
No, he hasn't actually left, but I like to think when he does leave, this will be going through his head. That's what will be going through his mind.
If that was going through my head, it might drive me crazy, but that's okay.
All right. All right. So that was Dano. Then we got Smeggy jumping in from Michigan. Thanks for joining.
Hey, how's everyone doing today?
Good. Then I'm down here in Arizona. We'll probably see Z jump in a bit, and he's done with one of his 9 to 5s. And then we have no idea where Bob is. I texted him, but he didn't text me back. So that brings us into the show. It is episode 314. We will be talking about range games for the gun stuff portion of the show. We'll be talking about professional gunsmithing, I imagine training during the training segment of the show. And then we talk about shooting events on Thursdays and all the other stuff that we talk about on a regular basis. So before we usually dig into the show, we usually take a break and see if anything happened overnight. So anything happened overnight that's worth talking about?
Not that I know of. Other than, well, it's not really gun related, but Chris Cornell died last night after his show in Detroit.
And he is who?
He was the lead singer at Soundgarden and then Audio Slave and some other stuff.
I must be old.
Well, okay then. But yeah, he was found in his hotel room with like a cord around his neck or something. So he either committed suicide or accidentally strangled himself to death. Or I think probably the most plausible, he had a memo from Comey to Hillary. But anyways, that's kind of sad.
Thought that little ditty might lighten the moment.
No, if you haven't heard of the guy's works before, Dano, there's a small clip from one of his songs. Does that remind you of the artist?
He does seem like familiar, like really recently. like about 2 minutes ago.
I really don't remember any of those songs. At least if I do, I don't remember them by name. So I'm not in the morning as much as some people, I guess. I've seen a lot of like music of my generation.
So, what's up on the schedule for
All right, well,
today?
dig into episode 314. So the first thing will be gun stuff. I would like to know what range games you do at the shooting range. I have a group that shoots at a private range, and we play pig. We also have targets of dartboards, dots, and battleship. We also set up 3-gun like matches.
I definitely like the idea of playing pig. I never have done that, but I've thought of doing it before, and then I always like kind of forget and get distracted. But that would be fun, I think. I really like playing darts. I have, a target that's a dartboard, and almost every time I go up north with my buddies, we play at least 2 or 3 games of darts. I never thought of Battleship, though. That'd be cool. Find a picture of Battleship, print it up.
Well, they make a battleship target.
Oh, do they? See, I'm more of the download the targets for free on the internet and just print them on regular paper. That works.
I mean, the thing I've seen is more like 14 by 11 or something, so it's larger than a regular sheet of paper. But you could probably do some sort of like multiple sheet of paper, print out 3 different things, put them together.
Yeah, or if you have access to a plotter that prints bigger sheets, you can do that.
Nobody has that.
So where does the tannerite come into play?
I don't like tannerite.
You're one of those guys. Get off my lawn.
I mean, I could see tannerite as being like a range entertainment, but is it a game?
Well,
it's just like see if you can shoot it. Like there's not. When I think of game, I think of something that's at least competitive somehow.
A game by its very nature is entertaining.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe for a child.
Don't confuse training.
A war game? A war game? It's not designed to be entertaining. That's designed to save lives.
It's not designed to save lives. It's designed to be entertaining.
A war game.
When the military goes out and does war games, you think they're all just running around giggling or something?
That's why they call them exercises. They don't actually call them war games. That's what the general public, and that's what the media call them. They call them exercises.
All right, well, I've seen the documentary where they're called war games, so.
With the Whopper?
Yeah, there's a Whopper. And lots of history in that movie. But I don't think necessarily games have to be fun, because you can do skill building games, right?
I mean, I will agree that games most of the time have elements of entertainment, but I would not say that just because something's entertaining, therefore it's a game. Watching TV is entertaining. Is that a game? No. So it's one of them like all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares thing. So I just don't think tannerite's a game unless I'm trying to think now of like, when you do like the shuffle like shells thing, like put tannerite in like a pumpkin and have 3 pumpkins, and then have your buddy like move them all around, and then run back to the safe distance, and then you shoot at the pumpkin you think the tannerite's in. That would at least be a game. And I just invented that just now. So copyright Smeggy 2017. But you're all welcome to do it if you want. Or don't do it. I don't care. But
so you brought it up, Tanner. You're all about the tannerite then? As a range game?
I can't be, because I live in a state where it's not allowed to be used. So
see, I think it's a situation of liking it because you can't have it.
Or have you ever shot at tannerite? Because it could be one of those things where like, okay, so that's I've only experienced it once, and like at the time was like, yeah, that's kind of cool. But then I was like, yeah, I don't really need to do it again.
Well, I mean, why would it be? You don't buy fireworks year round. Most people tend to buy them somewhere around the 4th, and yeah, they're fun on the 4th, but you don't buy them every single month. And the same thing would be true for Tannerite. You don't buy it constantly, but every once in a while, like once a year, at your special, outing at the lake or whatever it happens to be. That's where it would be entertaining.
All
and
right.
depending on how you use it.
But now it sounds like you're defending its use as a range entertainment thing. We're talking range games, though.
Well, I guess I'm still saying that games
and anything
have an element of entertainment.
All right, I'm going to play the crap out of Watch TV later tonight. I bet you I win.
Yeah, seriously.
Not all things that are entertaining are games. But all games are entertaining.
That's what we're saying.
But no, Dano wants to flip around and say all games have to be entertaining, or all games are entertaining, and that's just not true. It's boring. For example,
doesn't matter either way. So
we're going to be doing the game show this weekend, the tactical quiz. That ain't going to be entertaining.
You're right. So no one should participate because there'll be no enjoyment to be had.
Well, it's mandatory, so they don't get a choice, but there'll also be fabulous prizes. So while it won't be fun, it'll be obligatory to win fabulous prizes.
That sounds like such a double standard. Anyway.
I'm trying to think of games that I play. Other than, I guess, shooting a dueling tree. It's kind of like a game. It's both shooting them at the same time, and we'll either set up a time limit or just say, all right, we each get 3 mags or something. I like the time limit one, though, because then if you're better at reloading, you can get a couple more shots off.
I dig everything about trees. They're cool.
Especially if your friend missed a few times and you ended up clearing your side. I love that, just sitting there waiting. Like, which one's he going to pop? Which one's going to flip to my side? And then as soon as it does, hit it right back to him. Like, haha. I really like that. When you get the advantage on a dueling tree, like, I get a little bit of a rush. I'm like, oh, man, I'm winning. This is great. And then you have that surprise because you don't, like, I never look over to try and figure out which one he's shooting at or anything. I just wait to see which one pops up and then try and acquire my target as fast as possible.
So I'm a big fan of the horse, or whatever you want to call pig. Also, we would do that with, like, take 2 steps to the right, draw and shoot, headshot, or take a step to the left and then 1 shot to the chest and then 1 shot to the head or something like that. We would do that if we just had a target to shoot at, to give it.
So you made a game out of shooting pseudo-human beings?
Well, a competition out of the skills.
He never said he was entertained by it.
No, I wasn't entertained. It was all business. From Cycle, we're getting all kinds of stuff. So he said he also used to do the blockbuster with 2 folks shooting against each other. I don't know what that is.
I've never heard of that either. The blockbuster.
Is that like renting a bunch of VHS tapes and like throwing them in the air or something?
Yeah. With a shotgun, you just blow them away.
Bowling pins, set up. Okay, cut off the tops of 5 of them. Set up the tops and 5 regular, placed on the forward edge of a door. Use the 22 to shoot off the small tops. Use the center fire to shoot off the regular ones. Timed event, 2 sets each, and then average the times. Good game for kids is Fitz Luck Target. Ever seen those? So now I think he's going to the next thing. So good game for kids is Fitz Luck Target. Ever seen those? ? We used to do Blockbuster with 2 folks shooting against each other. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know Fitz or Blockbuster.
I don't know what any of that is, but I do know about shooting bowling pins. That's fun.
I've never heard of chopping the top off a bowling pin. That actually might be interesting, because then if you're shooting the tops with center fires, that's a little tougher. and lasts a little longer. And you get twice as many targets out of the bowling pins. You would think they last forever, but they don't. They last for a while. They don't last forever.
That's why sometimes the self-absorbing ones tend to last a little longer.
Longer than a bowling pin for sure, because they do repair themselves. Bowling pins will kind of repair themselves for a little while and then just destroy themselves. I'm going to do a search for Fitz luck target, because that sounds interesting.
Someone's over on the YouTube side's asking, how do you play Battleship at the range?
So they make these targets that we showed one the other day from when Bob and I went to that shop in Bisbee, Arizona. They have some on the wall. And they're just color photographs, or like cartoons that look like a battleship board, or two of them. And then one person shoots at one set and the other person shoots at the other set. So if you hit, one of the circles in their battleship, then that's 1 point. You hit. There's 4 circles in the battleship. There's 3 in the other boat, and there's 2 in the little boat, and there's whatever.
So instead of trying to guess where their boats are, you know where they are. It's just a matter if you hit them or not. Right,
and it's sort of a 1-to-1, right? You start hitting them, they better keep up with you, because then as soon as you're 1 ahead of them, you know what I mean? The first one to miss is gonna be out of the lead. So it could be a pretty fun game, I suppose, especially with like 22 or something.
Yeah,
so what a Fitz is, I have to go back up here for the picture, is a paper target called a Fitz luck target, and
it's like a tic-tac-toe target with numbers 1 through 9.
No, like a bingo. It looks like a bingo game. That's what I'd say.
If it's number 1 through 9, it has to be a tic-tac-toe target, because that's the only one with 9 spots.
Oh, well, I'm going to screen capture here and show you what I'm talking about, because I got a picture of it here. But no, it looks more like a bingo game than, here we go. Looks more like a bingo game. Here's the picture of it. So it's made by Colt, it looks like, or at least this one was. And
okay.
It's just the numbers, and then the bottom half of the paper is the rules, and then this will say, take 3 shots offhand. If the shooter misses the numbered square, another shot is allowed. Object is to give all contestants an equal chance. I score to count. So if a bullet strikes on the lines, all squares count for the shooter. If the bullet strikes on a line between 2, both are, and boom. So basically you shoot at this thing, and if you hit right dead in the center, then you get that point. If you hit on a side, you get both points, and if you hit in a corner, you get all 4 points.
Oh, wow. So you're really going for that corner shot.
Well, you want one of these corners with a 9 and a 5 and a 3 for sure.
I'm all about shooting, but that's a lot of math.
That's a lot of math, and it's a lot of strategy, and it's a lot of catch up. So you know
what? I bet you could make one of those targets in Excel.
No way. You couldn't spread one of these targets out. There's not a chance.
I thought of something I just now, because what I thought it was once you started saying it had numbers or whatever, and so I'm inventing this new game. It's the Smeggy luck target. So you do that same thing with the numbers, but then you have a sheet that has just the grid and blank spaces, and it lines up. So you put it over the ones with the numbers. So you're just shooting the squares, and then you fold it back and you see how much you got.
If you can't explain it, then it can't be good. So I don't even know what you said there. But
I thought I explained it well, but okay.
Sounds like you're trying to rip off the Colt Fitz luck target.
No, I'm trying to make luck a part of it, so you don't know what number you're shooting at. You just shoot the squares.
Well, then there's no strategy.
I think this is luck. I think that this one can be luck, because you just shoot this thing 3 times. There's a pretty good chance you're going to hit a corner every once in a while, and you're almost always going to hit 2 boxes, right? Sometimes you're going to hit 1, but you could probably play this game pretty good just taking 5 or 3 shots at this thing, even if someone is spending all day aiming 3 shots at this thing. But you're saying you'd flip it around, have empty squares, and then you would just shoot randomly in those boxes, and then you would learn your score later. Like you wouldn't have any reason to try to aim at any specific square.
Yeah, that'd be the luck part.
Well, then you might as well just roll the dice, go up and wait, save your ammo, roll the dice, and then. Because I
wonder if you could do craps with shooting. Could you do that, where you shoot a thing of numbers and then you try and get that same number again or whatever? Like everything's twice. Like you shoot, take 2 shots and see if it adds up to 7 or whatever.
It'd be difficult when like the one guy who was just watching you shot the come line, and then you'd shoot a point of like 6, and then he'd have to shoot a point of 6 and then shoot the odds, and then whenever you hit the point, they'd have to, I guess, return fire with your winnings. I'm not
gambling and firearms just don't sound like that great of a mix.
Well, then you're not doing it right.
Anyway, this was pretty interesting. I didn't know about this Fitz Luck target. I think I might have seen one before and just blew it off as some sort of like quiz or something. I didn't know what it was, but I think I might have seen something like it before.
I wonder why it's only 1, 3, 5, and 9. Like it's the same repeated. So there's tons of corners that are, the 3, 5, and 9 that you could get.
That's the only corner that's worth getting, yeah. And there's nothing bigger than that. There's no way. I can't see any way to get 2 9s or 2 5s or anything.
Right. So I wonder if like doing it more random with all the numbers would make it more challenging.
You know how it'd probably make it too tough. You know how you could really cheat with this? If you shot a 40, it would probably cover like 3 of these 9s.
Just shoots out the whole grid. Well, I guess I win.
All right. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. And then I don't know. Are we going to keep going with this subject? We've got a while. Or we're 7 minutes into the show. Go. Does anybody else have anything else to take? We kind of went off on a couple of topics there.
Firearm jarts.
What with Dano taking it to the wrong.
We all remember jarts from back in the day. You throw it up in the air, it lands in a circle.
Yeah, technically.
Fire went off in the air and see where it lands.
I remember playing, lawn missiles, which...
we would stand on one side of the house and wing them up over the house and try to hit stuff in the backyard.
Uh-huh. It was good 1960s fun.
Yep. Like every once in a while, sure, you'd hit a car or like the garbage cans or something, but...
Or like Steve, but, like I was kind of a jerk anyways.
No, I mean, it wasn't that dangerous. Nobody would just like randomly walk into our backyards, but it was not exactly... It was good. It was ballistics. It was trajectories.
And everybody knew that Steve was a half a bubble off center long before the jarts came along.
But I think that's a neat topic, talking about range games and activities at the range. Sometimes guns can get super boring, and going out and shooting them can be like a real effort and just repetitive and lame. So having something fun to do at the range, it's a great idea. I like that we talked about it, and I think we should probably talk about it in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna do some more research for fun targets and stuff.
Yeah, we keep talking about having a gun of the month or target of the month, since we're now wasted all of May not having one. We're almost more than halfway through May. We'll probably start getting one ready for next month.
Oh, the shooting contest. So everyone prints up the target and then shoots it, and
yeah, I really like
pictures of it.
Really like this topic or this idea. Wow, you know what? We have a long way to go before we have another open topic. That's crazy.
Well, our planning session last Saturday or the one before, whenever it was a good one.
Yeah, all the way out to the end of July.
Because it's against the rules to like cut and paste it somewhere else.
Well, I just like putting it right in the schedule right away because I don't have to remember to put in the schedule later. And now we have it for like July 29th or something.
As long as it's before October, because that's when I'm going to do my next Shoot-a-Palooza up north. I need to have plenty of good ideas.
Yeah, we definitely hit cars with jarts before. They never like stuck in, but we dented cars with them before. They weren't pointed. They had like a flat tip, if I remember correctly. They were made from grass.
Yeah, it was kind of like a rounded tip.
But I remember after you smashed it into the concrete a few times, it got pretty jagged and ragged. And you'd hit the sidewalk all the time. At least we'd hit the sidewalk all the time. Because we weren't whipping them like however you were supposed to lob them. You know what it was? It's just like that game where kids throw the bottles nowadays. That's because they don't have jarts, but they want to throw jarts. Or they would be throwing jarts correctly. But we would overhand throw them and wing them as many yards down as we possibly could. And then try to aim for like a front yard. Sometimes it was fun because you'd have like a small hole of like tree limbs and stuff that you'd have to like get your trajectory through. Otherwise you just hit a tree and it would fall down. Those are the days. Anyway, I guess that's not really a range game. That was more of a front yard game.
That was back in the memories of G-Webs. When G-Webs was just a little youngin'.
That's when they're bringing it up, lowercase g. So
I thought it was like last week.
No, I can't use jarts out here. They wouldn't do anything. They'd be ineffective out here. Unless you're
because it's like the ground's all hard and stuff.
Yeah, unless you're going to wing them into cactuses, and that would be bad to the cactuses. Cactuses live longer than us. All right, so next up is training. We're going to be talking about professional gunsmith training. And before we do, we like to take a break between the first and second segments of the show each day. Feature one of the members over at Gun Channels. Gun Channels is a place we built a while back, and it's completely run by its members. So with that in mind, we'd like to feature one of the members over there. Today, it's Enrique Sonora. Bob's not here, of course, because that would be timely. But Bob and I met up with Enrique this last time Bob was down, or like maybe the last day Bob was down here, and went and ate dinner with him. And yeah, great guy. I've known him for a long time, but it was great to get in touch with him again. And he's obviously, if you guys have seen him, he's that yellow colored lion or something on the chats. He's usually in the text chats. I don't know if he's at work. I think he's at work when he's listening to the show. But a lot of experience in his professional life, and then experience with firearms in his personal life. So brings a lot to the table, and is very active off the web as well as on the web. So it's the kind of person we had in mind. I had in mind when I built the place, and it's glad to see that even though he hasn't been around like every single day since the beginning, when he is available, you know, with his life, with kids and work and everything, when he has time to put effort towards the Second Amendment, I'm glad that we're a platform that he can come back to and, you know, get his bearings, and then put some effort in. You know, he uses Gun Channels as a way to figure out who's putting work in so that he can help.
Well, that's very cool. Yeah, I didn't know that he did like Second Amendment activism stuff outside of online gun channels and whatnot. So that's good to hear.
Everybody does, I'm sure, but just I happen to know him, right? He lives in Tucson here. So yeah, I imagine if we had one of those sheets where we kept track of how much actual stuff people are doing, he'd be on the high end. He'd be like a Pink or Smeggy level.
Oh man, I wouldn't insult him that much. Don't compare him to me.
No, I'm just saying you and Pink are like at the top end of the people. We came up with that chart of who met everybody.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. I thought you meant he did as much activism as me, and I was like, oh, dude, don't insult him. I get what you're saying now. Yeah, I've talked with him in the text chat before. He always has some insightful comments to add.
Now, has he been in the online chats, do you recall?
Rarely, but he has technically been in them, yes.
Okay, because I know he's in the text chats fairly regularly.
I'm going to take a second and narrowcast. I just noticed on the YouTube side that Buzz Bombs is asking about his patch. I don't know what the status is of yours. I don't necessarily keep track of every single one, but if you have, everything's been sent out as of like the other day. So we've been less than a week behind on them. We usually do them once a week. So if you haven't got anything and you're saying it's been a few weeks, then I don't know, put your stuff through again and make sure you have an address. If somebody doesn't put their address, we don't necessarily, stop the show and find out everybody's full address. We figure you just
and that has happened where we did have somebody.
I thought he was the one that did it the last time.
Yes.
So having the city and state where you live in might be great, but I'm guessing the post office don't just know. Like, oh, that guy in this city and state.
Buzz bombs? Yeah, I know exactly where that guy lives.
But I don't know if that might be it, because there are occasionally people who put them through like that. So that would be the end of the narrowcasting. And then thanks again to Enrique, and it's not his real name, I don't think. And then we'll go on to the next segment, which was professional training.
Training. Yeah.
So what's that all about? You're talking like going to school for gunsmithing?
Yeah, didn't we just do this?
Did like a few weeks ago.
Yeah, seems like maybe something about the scheduling isn't so good, because we get like a disconnect. We schedule the stuff a week out or a month out, and then we do it for a month, and we figure out like, oh, we haven't talked about that in a while, because we're about to talk about it next week, and now we're talking about stuff every 2 weeks. I don't know. So
I don't remember this topic, but I have missed a handful of shows.
Well, in that case, let me take this opportunity. That's right. It's time for the tactical pop quiz of the day.
How come you stopped clapping?
Because I don't know. It's the new me.
Okay.
But it's time for the tactical pop quiz of the day.
Dano's all trained up now. He's too hard. Number one, he doesn't like to hear the sound of a gunshot because it triggers him. And number two, he would hurt both of his hands because he claps so hard now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a reasonable explanation. I was just curious.
Yep, that's exactly it. So those of you over on YouTube and those of you over on gun channels, put your cursor down in the text box, limber up your fingers. Smeggy, are you willing to assist as the official today?
Yes, I've seen the answer. I'm going to put in the side chat, though, a question about what's acceptable and what's not.
Okay, and it is a two-part answer for those listening.
If my side chat opens up. Hang on.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that part.
Yeah.
Tick-tock, 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 tick-tock.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm filling the dead space.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Computer's being weird. There you go. Clippity clap. Easter's on its way.
Okay. Clarification?
All right, 10-4, ready to rock and roll.
All right. I will read the question twice. It is a two-part answer, and both parts must be in the same line.
All parts must be available in the same line.
Is there an echo in here?
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate because people still don't understand sometimes, and it's frustrating.
Absolutely. So as soon as the Pied Piper is done, I'll go ahead and read the question twice. So here we go. The Volcanic Repeating Arms Company was formed in what year and by who? The Volcanic Repeating Arms Company was formed in what year and by who? Yes, who is in the owl? Who? Who?
No answers.
Nothing. The Google machines are spinning. Nope. I don't know what icon that is, but nope.
Well, we got a partial. Oh, wait a minute. We got answers.
There we go.
Boom, 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 angry. 1855 by Mr. Smith and Mr. Wesson. Congratulations, Angry. You are today's Tactical Pop Quiz winner. You, I know what to do, but just a reminder to the others out there, head on over to dailygunshow.com/popquiz. Fill out the form, put your first and second choice, and congratulations, Angry American.
We'll probably be posting a new picture here today, so if you want to hold off a bit, I'll have new patches up there.
Yeah, and I just want to say for angry there with your fast thinking and your fast typing, that makes you the tactical hot shot of the day.
Very entertaining.
I haven't been able to do it in a while. Z keeps coming in early.
Yeah. He has been stealing your thunder.
I feel like at the end you had a monocle on.
No comment.
All right, and from that, we're going to move over into our temporary new topic for now, and that's one I'm calling tactical tidbits. And what we're going over is this is through my course from Tactical Response Fighting Pistol, and we're doing a review of gunfighting rules. We've already done the first and second. First was, in case you didn't happen to hear them, bring a gun, hell bring two. The second from yesterday was the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. The third rule is only hits count. The only thing worse than a miss is a slow miss. This is according to Wyatt Earp. Only hits count. The only thing worse than a miss is a slow miss, according to Wyatt Earp. You think that although it's a reflection of the times he was in, do you feel that's as true today as it was back then?
Yeah, I think it's the same.
Oh, well, that's similar to an expression I've heard, and you hear a lot from like competitive people, but it's like you can't miss fast enough, and that's the same kind of thing. Like you won't get a better score by missing faster.
Right.
So yeah, hitting stuff is important if that's what you're trying to do.
Yep. And that is gunfighting rule number 3. Tomorrow we'll go ahead and introduce what is number 4. So that is tactical tips for today, Thursday, May 18th. So I return to your regular scheduled broadcasting.
Which I guess is gunsmithing. Are we still talking about that?
Unless you want to pick one up off the fly and do something a little different, I'm willing to take a wild card.
I don't know much about gunsmithing, so
yeah, either
I don't know if I'd be able to add anything.
I mean, we talked about different locations to get it last, like I said, a couple of weeks to a month ago.
Did you happen to mention the Sonoran Desert Institute?
Yep.
Okay, so that's the one I know of because of their We Like Shooting sponsor.
Right.
And I just want to say something. I don't know if he's just talking about whatever, but the Chesnizy or whatever the heck, I don't know. I don't read well. He says third rule: if someone says stop, goes limp, or taps out, the fight is over. And I'm saying, not in a gunfight. The fight's not over if it's just because someone yells stop, or sometimes even just because they go limp, because you might be able to use that to get a better position or something, but you also might not want to let go too early.
The fight is not over until the threat has been mitigated.
Right. And he was just quoting Fight Club, which is what I figured. I just thought this was a good teachable moment for people listening, is just to keep that in mind, that, a gunfight doesn't stop the same way like a, boxing match does or whatever.
Sounds like we're talking a lot about Fight Club, and that's not supposed to be, so.
Nope. Not at all.
I think we'll do that. We'll move on from the gunsmithing one then, since we've already talked about it before, unless somebody wants to throw something in there, something that's new or something we missed last time around.
We can pull one from the future forward.
What? Oh, you mean the topic?
Yeah, that was that category.
No, we have to go way forward because I already have those sort of scheduled out to the end of the month. So if we go to way out here, how to choose a CCW class.
Sure.
Boom. How do you choose a CCW class?
You find one that's local in your area, and I don't know, I guess, like, I'm trying to think how to get feedback or whatever. Most of them, I guess, would probably have a review or people talking, testimonials?
I wouldn't say most. Some of them will for sure, but then those are testimonials. Those are hand-picked. So I like to suggest going to either state or local forum and seeing if there's any, like you're saying, reviews of the classes written by students after, but in that kind of setting where they're really just giving you feedback as opposed to censored or filtered.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
I'd also like, if I had a friend or family member that had taken the class, their input, because I actually physically know them, would weigh a lot more than some stranger's input on a discussion forum.
Yeah, that could go look
as
up.
well as I can ask that person questions in regards to, well, how are they for people that, that didn't know that much about guns and that sort of thing. As well as, some states don't require a class, but there may still be a class in regards to the mindset tactics of concealed carrying. Maybe it's not a legal requirement, it's just a skill set they're trying to attain.
Well, now you're getting into dangerous territory. So if we're talking a CCW class, typically the requirements of a CCW class are the laws. If you're talking about mindset and tactics, now you're talking about evaluating an instructor's competency and their what do you call, like, their instructions, like validity. And that's a tougher one to compare, I think, because you're relying on reviews from people and you don't know what their sample set is. You don't know what their experiences are. So somebody who's coming at something from zero and they go to a poorly created class or a class that's just strictly regurgitating something, but maybe even incorrectly, it might be done in a way that makes those students really impressed and they might go give it great reviews. You know what I mean? So it can be tough. I would say for CCW, I just think of laws and I think of prerequisites for a permit. And typically those are, like you're saying, it might be a state like Arizona where it's kind of open, but in most of the states where you're looking for a CCW class to fulfill a prerequisite for a permit, it's either got a written curriculum or a time frame or something. And I'd say they will vary, but to get back to how to determine which class to take, I'd say another option might be to go to some gun shops in your area, shops that you respect, and then ask those people, the people that work there, maybe customers that you might know if it's the kind of place where customers hang out and chat, get some feedback from that, because it's like a step off, because like you're saying, I think that's a good idea, people that you know are family members, but what's the odds that you're going to know somebody who's taking a CCW class? You know what I mean? It's just very low. So I think going to a couple of shops, you have a better.
Yeah. And I think, a shop that doesn't offer the class is more likely to possibly be objective versus a shop that does offer a class.
Right. If they're not affiliated with an instructor, then they're going to give you the real deal. Like, well, we've heard about these four and here's my opinion of them.
Right. Yeah. Because otherwise say, oh, here's the sign-up sheet. We're the best in town.
Yep.
But yeah, well, that's like what you were saying as far as like the prerequisite type stuff. In Michigan, you do have to take a class. I think it's like required 8 hours, but that's classroom and range time, which we do have some type of live shooting requirement. And there's not a specific test, but it's more like the instructor signs off that, yeah, you're competent with a gun and, safe and all that kind of stuff. But like the one I took, it was actually my buddy teaching it. And I have to say, like, I wasn't super impressed, mostly because I did all the research on the laws and stuff before I ever took the class. And I did give him some feedback. Hopefully he improved. But I heard about one that a guy my dad works with, he took, and he has like a retired judge and a retired prosecutor come in and do a segment, like a guest speech or whatever, and answer questions talking about the legal stuff and real life cases that they've seen, like what the tricks the prosecutors use. Like maybe it was illegal, defensive shooting, but they're trying to get you anyways. You hear about that kind of stuff. It does happen every once in a while. And they had some insight, like behind the scenes kind of stuff. And so I thought that's like a really cool idea. So if you're looking at classes and they say, guest presentation by so-and-so or whatever, and you look them up and be like, oh, this is a well-known, law instructor or some lawyer or something, that might be something that sways you to take that class instead.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent thing, and I don't see that sort of thing offered very often, because a lot of people are just looking for the minimum, to get that permit, and that's all that they want. But I think for those of us that are interested in more than just the minimum, that's absolutely the sort of thing that I would be looking to get, is more than just the bare minimum. But G-Webs, a question I have for you or just a question I have in general, I guess, is for permitless states where you are not required to take a class, how would one evaluate a good class? Because there is no state required curriculum to get your permit. So what would be the type of curriculum that you would want to see in a state that does not require a class?
Let me let this dog get done drinking and I'll answer you.
Sure, that's sure. Go ahead.
I can answer from my point of view.
Sure.
If you ignore the first part about not having to or whatever, but something that I think is the most important is the legal aspects of where you can carry and when you can use lethal force and all that kind of stuff. And like you had kind of mentioned, like tactics and different things. I don't necessarily go to a CCW class to learn that stuff. That's like I would go to a trainer after, get the CCW and then get some advanced training after that.
But getting certified to have a permit and upgrading your skills as a concealed carry permit holder I guess I'm just viewing it as a variation, like doing getting training for long distance hunting or long distance shooting. That is a very different skill set versus self-defense, from 0 to 30 feet or whatever it is.
Well, you keep bringing up other things besides CCW. So CCW, I consider CCW the laws and then whatever requirements the state has. But I've never met one, or I haven't seen very many states, or I've seen, of the states I'm familiar with, none of them require that you have like tactical experience or even familiarization or anything. So it's all just basic firearms knowledge and then a little bit of manipulation and kind of competency, but not skill, just competency, like able to shoot a firearm.
And I'm referring for if you want something that's more than just the minimum that's required.
All right. Well, so in a state like Arizona where we don't have any prerequisites anymore, you can have a class that's an hour long. You could have a class that's 16 hours long. They're all going to qualify, or you can just, I don't even know if I think when you're military, police, or law enforcement, retired or anything, you can just, that all counts. I think being on a rifle team counts. I mean, you really don't need to take a class if you don't want to. So the classes are for people that want to, right? So I think, again, the same thing I said before, check all the local sources, like the forums. We do have an Arizona forum that is an offshoot of Era 15 that's been real popular ever since it started years and years ago. That would be a one way, although again, you're going to have to take everything with a grain of salt. There are people that manipulate any type of online avenues to market, right? So you want to make sure that you're reading those reviews with a grain of salt, seeing if those people are actually, active members of the whatever community that you're reading their reviews on. So anyway, once you can get some source of valid reviews of the options out there, that'll be one way to figure out which class to take. But I guess the ultimately comes down to don't think that like anything you can just learn something once. So when we do the outro to this show, I always say take a CCW class every year. For a while there, especially when I was doing it for the YouTube stuff, I was taking a CCW class basically whenever I could get into one. So you can audit a class, basically go in there and just listen to the class. And if you're doing any kind of work online, creating content of any sort, then you can pretty much contact an instructor and say, hey, I'm doing this for my podcast or my YouTube channel or my Instagram account, fill in the blank. I just want to help promote your class. I'd like to experience it, and so I can write a review about it. Do you mind if I sit in the back of the class and experience it? And I've never encountered an instructor that said no to that. I imagine if you had like a really full class and they had a confined room or something, that might be an issue, but most of the time they're more than happy to have you come in. So that's my suggestion, is to never quit going to classes. Go to them as often as you have the time and inclination. Then you'll experience the differences between them, and you'll probably write something down, and you'll become a resource for that next group of people that are having the same dilemma. Which class do I take?
Well, and that's another good point of that, is that laws change all the time. So having the most current, up-to-date stuff is good. And also, like, a lot of times class will have question and answer sessions, and every class is going to be different based on the experience level and just the way people think. You know, so you might go to class, someone asks a question that you never would have even thought of asking, but as soon as you hear it, you're like, oh man, I really want to know this answer. So yeah, I like that idea of keep taking the classes, even if you don't have to, like, even if you can renew without taking classes and stuff, like, take a new one anyways, take a refresher.
Go into a CCW class with like, I've been to classes where like, what do you call them? Like somebody who runs a business full of office employees will have a class, and it'll be like 7 ladies and 2 guys, and they're just people that have never been around a gun before, but for whatever reason, their boss is offering them the class for free, so they decide to take it. And those are some of the most interesting classes for just what you're saying. The questions they come up with and the concerns that they have are just not like a typical gun person. So that's ultimately interesting.
Yeah, I was just going to concur. What Smeggy said is, I've never had a class that somebody didn't bring up what exactly Smeggy just said, is something that I didn't even think to ask that question, yet it was an excellent question. And I'm glad somebody else thought of it to bring it up.
That's why I like taking notes, because just hearing something like that, like, you'll remember that you heard a question that was interesting, but with the notes, you'll be able to recall it whenever you want.
Yeah, definitely. Notes are important.
All right, well, we dug into that one for a bit. We're good to go?
Yeah, I think so.
Does anybody helps with anything else? If you're listening out there and you're thinking, what, these idiots didn't bring up this or that, then feel free to send us an email at dailygunshow@gmail.com, and we will consider putting this into the schedule in the future and addressing the points that we forgot this time or didn't, we overlooked.
Where the heck did I put my glass of water?
Doug is saying, I'd like to see who has the most returning student base. So they're returning for a reason. That's interesting. I don't know how you determine that, but I guess maybe to get through the forums and stuff to see. I know that, like, with tactical response, Dan is not familiar with this, but a lot of people that go to tactical response return and go again to other classes, or even take the same class over and over. And they talk about that on their forums, and they're usually have a presence out on the other platforms. So people kind of understand that people go to tactical response over and over. I'm sure other classes that
I don't know if my class was representative or not of typical classes, but out of just over 30 people, there were 6 people that had taken fighting pistol before. So I don't know percentage-wise what that is. But there's definitely people that I know that take that class more than
6
once.
out of 30. 6 out of 30.
6 out of 30.
Yeah, there is no way to do the math to determine what percentage that is. That's a good point.
Yeah, I'm like 20% sure there's no way of knowing what that percentage is.
Yeah, it's about 20%.
I was going to say, I'm about 20% sure there's no way to do any kind of math like that.
But what I'm not sure of is 20% indicative of a typical fighting pistol in Camden? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And that it would, unless they make a note of it somewhere or they mention it in their marketing or something, yeah, you wouldn't know, I guess. Unless you could ask. You could always ask. They might keep track of it. All right, so nobody's talking about what we're talking about. So I'm guessing that means that we should move on. So what do we want to hit? Looks like Z's coming. Why don't we talk about the gun of the day? Unless you guys have a problem with that.
Ding, 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 ding.
Up in our
Now-
series of short videos from the 50 BMG collection.
What?
I was just gonna say I don't see any video, just the audio.
Yeah, I'm still putting it up there. So this week we're looking at 50 BMGs, 50 Bunjums, and these are bullets that are made out of 50 BMG. And did a series of videos on the different ones in my collection, and this is one of those. Today we're looking at the Mark 257 Dim Tracer. So this one's pretty cool. There's the Rufus round. I just focused in on the one with the green and white there. That's a high explosive round that's meant to use the 50 BMG projectile to deliver the same stopping power as a 20 millimeter. So it's a cool round, but they don't need it every single round in a belt. It would be too costly, I guess, too devastating. So they also want to be able to see where they're going. So they use these dim tracers, which are the purple and silver designation on them, and that's a low light source or a IR emitted tracer. So it's not a tracer that everybody can see. I think you need to have night vision on, if I understand it correctly, and that's why they call it a dim tracer. So this will be a probably a silver, or probably going to mean armor piercing still, and then the purple designates the dim part of the tracer. Anyway, that would be, I think, every third in a belt with the Rufus, and that takes care of business from helicopters or aerial platforms.
I say that is really cool. The dim tracer part of it. That like only the people with night vision would be able to see it, because that's the thing with like regular tracers is if you're shooting at something, everyone else in that area can connect the same dots that you're connecting and say, "Oh, it's coming from right there." So being able to not see it with the naked eye is pretty darn useful.
Now, in that collection there's two. There's a solid red one and a solid blue one. What's the difference between those two?
They're both basically the same thing. No, maybe they're not. This one's a blank. I think we looked at this one yesterday, and this one is actually this front part is dense plastic, and it'll rip off and actually come out. So this is a projectile that's designed for like indoors, if they need to check, I don't know, something on the gun or something, and they need to be able to shoot it, but they're indoors and they don't want to destroy the place that they're in. This is a munition they can use that still is dangerous, but it's not as destructive to the material of the berm or the building or whatever. So I think that's all it's for. I don't think they use it for like simunition or for training or anything like that. I think it's just for indoor, whatever you call like
low power round testing.
Yeah, something like that.
Function test.
I'm only guessing based off of what it's.
I've seen those for 308 with the blue ones.
Yeah, that's the thing. They do make them for other calibers, but they use those for other things, I think, because there is a projectile that comes flying out. So it's basically a solid piece of plastic with like a metal rim, so that it can still extract and everything from the gun. But this one just blows its top off, sort of explodes, like just rips open when the thing goes off to sort of show that it went off, I suppose, and to, I don't know, because it doesn't need to, it's not trying to throw anything out, where this one will rip right at that line and then shoot this part off like a projectile. But anyway, both of those are kind of dummy rounds. Not really dummies though, kind of like blanks. So
yeah, they're still interesting, whether it be training or maintenance rounds.
Mm-hmm. These I think are just blanks for making, just for being blanks in a different way. But like I say, I don't know what to designate these. Anyway, that's the neat thing. We'll be talking about a little bit more of those for the next couple of days. And that's our bullet of the day, or our gun of the day, because Bob took a hiatus. Bob left us hanging high and dry. Like when Dano leaves, he abandons us. He leaves us like a whole list of stuff so that his stuff is taken care of. Bob, nothing. Not even a note. Not even a phone call. So we're coming up with our own gun of the day, and it's turned out to be 50 BMG bullets for a while.
Nice.
Always cool.
Data boom.
All right, well, Z's here, so I imagine we can move on to movie of the day. Everybody be comfortable with that?
Sure.
Seems appropriate.
So every day we try to talk about a movie that's gun related, something that you might not have seen in a while, or if you're a youngin', probably something you ain't seen yet. And today it is a movie called Red Heat. I think we've talked about this one before, a while back.
Well, it's not to be confused with Red Dawn, of course, right? Hello? Trying to do a show. Don't you know? Don't call me at this number. So anyway, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jim Belushi. Let's see. There you go. There's a link for the IMDb for the movie, so you can reacquaint yourself with it. If I remember, there was more than a couple of guns in it. It had the Desert Eagle mocked up to be the fictional most powerful Russian gun in the world or whatever. It looked cool. It also had the little let's see, it was almost like a gambler's type of wrist rig, but it was supposed to be a 12 gauge instead of like a pepper box. But it was just cool because it looked like a 12 gauge. And then I think at some point he silenced it, which I don't know how he would do that, but that's beside the point. See, there's a Heckler & Koch, there's a Taurus, there's a Colt Government, Combat Commander, a Beretta 92F, the FEG, the WZ-64, which I'm not even sure what that thing is. I think it's like a Makarov, but different. No, it is a Makarov. There you go. That's why it looked like a Makarov. Then you had some sick Smith & Wesson revolvers, both the 29 and the Model 66, which is a very nice gun. Let's see, what else did it have? It also had a 36 Chief Special, one or two of those, a 586, the Bodyguard, which is nice, a couple of shotguns, 870, an SKS, I think when they were parading. M16s are in it, AK-47s are in it, HK-94s are in it. So if anybody was wondering if Red Heat is a gun movie, I'm going to be inclined to say that it is.
But it's like a buddy cop comedy type movie, though, right?
I don't know if I would say comedy as much as I would say buddy cop, because yes, it's Jim Belushi is like the Chicago or whatever cop, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger is the Russian cop. So yes, I would say that it is a buddy cop movie from the 80s.
But it has lots of cool guns, so
It does.
that sounds
And you know what? It's not a bad movie. I mean, if you don't like how Jim Belushi acts or how Arnold acts, then you're not going to like the movie. But as far as it goes, it wasn't the biggest of budget movies. It was, I think it was before Arnold got super, super famous. Like, I think he had already done Conan. I think he'd already done Terminator, but he hadn't done like Terminator 2 or Kindergarten Cop. It's not a tumor. Because I mean, as much as you may hate that, that's when Arnold was just cashing multi-million dollar checks at that time. But yeah, Red Heat, 2 thumbs up, comrade.
I, of course, have seen that movie a million times and have every line memorized because I've seen every movie in the world. Oh, wait. I have no idea. Seems interesting.
What, Daniel left already?
Yeah.
Did he time?
Did he see it?
Didn't say.
Left us hanging. So I'm going to give it 1 thumbs up because you make a good point that it has a lot of guns in it. However, I didn't like it that much as a buddy cop movie or whatever. So maybe I'll watch it again. Have you seen it recently? Did it hold up?
Probably about 5 years ago or so. And I don't know. Does 48 Hours hold up? You know, those suits and those shoes was haircuts, but yeah, sure. Nice. Cycle Camp makes a valid point. It's as much a buddy cop comedy as Lethal Weapon. I would agree with that. Because
so
Jim
it's not
Belushi's
like
kind of a comedic actor, so.
I'm gonna say it's not like super like slapsticky, like whatever.
It's
I
pretty
get what
bad. I
you're
mean,
saying.
there's no laugh track in it, but there's like pause for the audience to like laugh or whatever. It was right in the middle of Belushi being super funny, and I think you're right. Schwarzenegger's probably still on his way up, but he was a big star. I think that was one of his like, oh, he's not an action star, or he's not just an action star.
Well, he ain't making any jokes in this one. It's not like Commando where he says, you know, remember when I promised to kill you last? I lied. You know, he's not really.
No, he's the
straight man to Belushi's.
But he's in a comedy. Like he could have chose to just only do Conan movies or only do, you know.
Well, Twins. Now that's a comedy, right? Kindergarten Cop. That's a comedy. Jingle All the Way. That's a comedy. It's terrible, but it's a comedy.
But those are all after this, I think.
Oh yeah, that's like I said. He was getting paid lots of zeros on his checks at that time. At those times, this is like you said. This is, you know, this is either midway or just about like after this might even been when he did start making all those zeros on stuff.
Thanks, Pink. I just saw that. So that's the movie. What Smeggy is saying, he's never even seen it.
I have not seen it.
All right, we don't know about Dano because he left us without telling us about it. So sorry to leave y'all. We have to give you Z's wholehearted 2 thumbs up, my 1 thumb up. We have no idea about Bob and Dano.
Yep, it happens.
Yep. Next up will be Gun Channel Story Time. What? There's no topic. How did somebody steal the topic? Do we really have Gun Channel Story Time if there's no topic?
I don't know. I actually thought of one earlier today during the impromptu hit or miss special edition, the origins of #FTD. That's a little bit harsh of a story for this show.
I know what DTF is, but I don't know if I know what FTD is.
Well, it involved heavy moving out of California.
Does that work for Gun Channel Story Time music?
Sure. It almost seemed like it's going into like a dream sequence kind of thing, but yeah. That's traveling music. That's not story time music. But it relates to the story if we want to go that route.
Yeah, because it's all about what's his face? Heavy B, right?
Yes.
So basically he was saying something crazy and I had to go like say, fuck that dude, except that I had a glitch on my so we're doing Gun Channel Story Time, which every week we'd go back in time and we encourage you to get some hot chocolate and I don't know, s'mores, cookies, warm cookies, I guess. And then
a glass of milk.
Yeah, hot chocolate. But I guess if you just want to bob it up, do it bland, you can do it with just milk. And then maybe a coffee if you're an old person. And reminisce about the olden days of gun channels.
And if you're a newer member of gun channels, possibly if you feel like, oh, there's too many inside jokes and all that stuff, well, now you're being brought in on the inside joke. So you'll understand what people are talking about.
And you can lord it over people who haven't heard what's going on, that you know the inside story.
And while shaming them for not knowing the story, mention that you heard it on the Daily Gun Show and that maybe they should start listening to that.
So I think we already kind of answered it, but it was some chat. I don't know. Was it his chat?
I thought it was in one of Matt's chats, but I could be wrong. But basically, we were talking about
Cats.
California and their horrible gun laws, and Heavy mentioned that he wanted to leave California and screw them, and I'm moving to Arizona, man, get out of here. And yeah, G wasn't as keen on that idea.
Well, I don't remember what he was saying specifically, but the fuck that dude part came when my computer glitched or whatever, or else somebody was echoing, or maybe a combination of the
It
both.
definitely was coming from your icon.
Well, all right, but I'm saying something was glitching, that it was echoing right back into itself, because I said it once and then it made it glitched, but then it got echoed, like the glitch got echoed, like the echo got echoed. So then it just became like somebody on a sampling machine stamping on a fuck that dude button.
Wait, this is a whole twist of a story. Are you serious? I thought you literally just said it 10 times in a row because you were that upset.
No, I went, fuck
All
that
this
dude.
time, I thought you just kept saying it. I learn something new every day.
I went like, fuck that dude. And then my computer glitched and it said, fuck that dude twice. It like said it again so that my computer heard it and said it. And then something happened and it started going on infinitely. And I'd muted already by then. And it was still just going on. And then everybody was.
Well, I never knew that part of the story, man. I seriously thought you were just like, no, dude, no, dude, no, dude. Like you just kept saying over and over again. Fuck that dude. Fuck that dude. Because yeah, it was all it was one of them like, hey, you should like stay in your state, and, stay and fight type of thing. It was that kind of discussion, like should you bail on a gun friendly or an anti-gun state for a gun friendly state. And yeah, he said something like, hey, it's not my problem if they stay in Canada, like, or stay in California, the laws are their problem or whatever. It was something like that. And then you were like, no, fuck that, dude. And the idea being is that you should stay and fight to change the laws.
See, I don't even remember because it turned into a big thing. I don't remember what I was even objecting to, but he was saying something crazy off the wall California hippie. And yeah, and I ran over the computer. I remember clicking the mute thing off and going, fuck that dude. And then, like I say, it glitched. And then I muted, and then by then there was no coming back. Everybody was freaking out.
Well, but yeah, because at least in my brain, I thought you were just that worked up. You said it so many times, and everyone else kept saying it, and then it just became the big joke. So now sometimes you'll hear that, and that's what people are referring to.
Yeah, FTD is still a thing for sure.
So yeah, if you want to object to something, you can say things like, fuck that dude.
And again, FTD is not the same as DTF. Big difference.
No, that would be totally backwards.
Unless that dude is DTF.
Well, I'm never down with DTF and a dude, so.
Yeah, that's getting...
Yeah, we're off the rails. Okay, so that's the end of the story. The end.
Yep.
I don't know how we end those. And we all lived happily ever after.
Yep. And just, for future reference, didn't Heavy make it out alive?
No,
not quite.
He's prepared to retreat, but he hasn't actually done so yet.
Oh, I thought, well, whatever.
He pulled the trigger on the move. He just is finishing up stuff. I think it's the next couple of weeks.
Oh, right on.
He's got to tie his bed sheet to a big pole, wave it around.
Yeah.
You guys make it seem like it's easy to escape from behind enemy lines. Here to tell you, it's not, especially when you're on Alcatraz times 10.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's easy. I'm saying that, the fact, let's say it is hard, then the fact that you're going through all that effort to leave, you should go through all that effort to change it. Then you don't have to leave. That's what humans are good at, is being in an environment that's not suited for us and changing the environment so that it's suited for us now. And we can do the same thing politically.
It's like we need to emit political carbon emissions and change the environment radically.
Both double-edged sword. It's one man's vote.
Yeah. Well, if everyone that's like-minded and is pro-freedom leaves a certain area, then that place is definitely
Well,
going to be done
California has over 7 million gun owners in it.
for. So then you'd think they could change some stuff. That's where I'm saying
You think
activism
they
might
wouldn't have
actually
let
have
it
a
get to
point.
the way it is?
I don't know. We don't have to get all into that stuff. We had to talk about that earlier today. You can find it out there on the interwebs.
But that
What do we got
was
left?
story time, and every week we try to, like Smeggy said, tell people about some of the inside stuff that's going on over there, and reveal some of the behind the curtain stuff, and just help it make communication a little bit easier with everybody, so everybody knows what's going on. I think all we got left at this point is the shooting events. So we'll head over to Gun Channels, and we'll scroll down the main page there. We'll check out the calendar. Open that screen share. There we go. We'll scroll down, I guess scroll up a little bit. And we've got the Blade Show coming up on June 2nd in Atlanta. Big gun show, except it's all blades. It's all knife manufacturers and stuff like that. Looks like we got the Outdoor Retailer coming up in July. So we don't have much in the calendar here for the next couple of months. Also in July is TriggerCon. Let's figure out where that is. We keep talking about it. Where? Tacoma. So Tacoma, Washington, I'm guessing.
It's the only Tacoma I'm aware of, but that doesn't mean that it's the only one.
There might be a little one somewhere, but I'm guessing that's Tacoma, Washington. Then we've got the Ohio Cartridge Show, a big gun show for just people that collect ammunition. And then we got the machine gun shoots coming up in October. The National Association of Sporting Goods Wholesalers, very much like SHOT Show, except it's for sporting goods stores specifically. So probably a little bit more emphasis on camping and stuff, and less on some of the behind the scenes stuff at SHOT Show. I think I've never actually been to it. I think that one travels around different cities each year. Then we have the big gun show coming up in November in Tulsa again, and we'll probably have Gun Channels get together there as well. And yeah, there's lots of opportunity for stuff in here. Like we're already talking in November there, so that's a pretty big spectrum. We ran pretty quick. So anybody that wants to throw stuff in there, events that you're familiar with or that you participate in, feel free to use the calendar over there on Gun Channels. And each Thursday we will be sure to help promote those events.
Yeah, I always do the call out for if you're going to, a local gun shop or a gun show. But there's a handful of people who shoot competitively. Why don't you guys put your matches up on the thing? Even if it's like a local thing, you might find out someone's in your area that's like, I was thinking of going to that, but I don't know anyone. And, maybe you can make new friends. So I like the calendar as a way of getting people to, connect with someone that they might not have talked to before or something.
Do we ever talk about the 24-hour gun show this week?
Not yet, but there's all kinds of big news over there. I'm just taking is California Lost Cause, and I'm sticking it into the calendar. That was suggested over on the YouTube side as a topic. I'm just trying to find a place where we have for it. So it looks like it'll go into August 1st. We're quite a ways out in the schedule there. So now let me scroll way back up to the top of this one. And the 24-hour gun show has big news. Did my screen share? No.
Not yet, but that just might be on my computer.
I don't see it yet either.
So when you go to 24-hour gun show now, it now is gunchannels.com/24-hour gun show. So none of that weird ad thing that used to be there. So now we can go nuts promoting it. And I also played around a little bit. When you click on one of the items, you get the information about it right off the bat, along with the picture. So a little bit better format than before, and a little bit easier to deal with because now the navigation goes directly to 24-hour.
Hey, by the way, is that our Gun Channels member of the day? If you go back,
yeah, Enrique Sonora has the shotgun up there. Looks like
nice.
Remington. Oh wait, yeah, Remington 1100.
1100.
Used it a lot, it looks like, and he's looking to trade it for a 7mm or a 300 Remington Ultra Mag.
Woo!
It's probably because he's hanging out with the Sean and the guys in the Big Bore Club.
Well, then, that would do it.
But yeah, we do have the 24-hour gun show over there. I've been posting a lot of stuff in there. You can scroll through and see some of the stuff I've been posting. But anybody who wants to is a member of Gun Channels can head over, click post a new item. You can post anything you want for free, just standard basic listing. Or if you want it to show up in the top, you can throw $7.62 in there, and that'll force it up at the top there. So if you've got something that you want to move, oops, let's see if we go back to the main gun show. If you want to get something to move, it'll stay up in the top here like his shotgun. And, you know, click post a new item, and then like I say, you can post many as you want for free over here, and then I think they last for many months, and you can always renew them. So we're not trying to nickel and dime anybody. We just want to make a cool place for people to buy, sell, and trade. So Dano spent a lot of time setting up the structure, the organization part of it. So it's very much like it is over on Gunbroker. So it's basically tuned to be firearms related stuff. But if you do notice something in there that's missing, like you want to post something and there's not already a category for it, contact us on Gun Channels or at the Daily Gun Show or wherever you want, and we'll be happy to add whatever categories are necessary so that people can enjoy capitalism over there. You know, a gun shop that wants to get online on the cheap, have them join Gun Channels. Doesn't cost much, and they can post as much as they want over there.
Yeah, I think it's very cool. It's a very cool feature.
All right, well, we're definitely getting a lot of conversation on the YouTube side about whether or not California is a lost cause. So we are going to be talking about that in August. So stick around for that, just around the corner. But that's obviously a hot topic, and with heavy abandonment, surrendering, you know, of course, that's a lot of people are devastated by that, and it's gonna, you know, have a lot of a discussion. But if you want to take that topic and create a podcast or a YouTube video or something about it, please do send it to us, and we will help spread the word. Share it over on Gun Channels. Well, I think with that, we might as well wrap it up. Did we talk about Patreon? We do have a Patreon account. A little bit earlier today, we started the show about an hour and 20 minutes early. And when we do that, when we have time to do it, Smeggy and I were in there. Dano was in there for a while. A bunch of the Patreons showed up. We just do like a pre-show. So we just open the room up earlier. We drop the join link over on Patreon. So anybody who's a member at any level can feel free to jump in. And we just kind of BS a little bit. Then when the show starts, welcome to stick around, or a lot of people like to jump out, and a little bit extra time to get some chatting in.
Yep. Yeah, today was much more just laid back, talking about whatever's, and then you know, we can't tell you. It is secret stuff. What happens off air stays off air. But you know, the previous one was a little more. We're talking show stuff, so everyone got to kind of see behind the curtain and see how we run this thing. So I think it's a nice way to, you know, see how us famous people actually live in our off-stage persona.
A lot like when you watch one of these movies and they'll go off stage at the, like, for the strippers or whatever, and they'll go in the back and all the strippers are back there and they take their wigs off, changing their outfits, putting their outfits back on. It's like that. A lot of boobs.
Yeah. I had my ice maker cranking up. I had to, you know, get into form.
All right. Well, with that, I guess we're done with episode number, where are we on here? 314. We'll be back tomorrow with 315. We'll be talking about if plus P is really necessary. We'll be talking about what's next in the gun business and all the other stuff we talk about on a daily basis. So we'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's 4 Pacific.
Do we have
Normally, we like to end the show with a quote, right?
Nobody put one in there.
Don't think so.
So we got Matt doing some kind of show. He's quirking us right now, doing some kind of show with his Patreons because they don't care. And then Yankee's got a show tonight, I guess.
Sounds
So-
about right.
That's a thing. I probably will try to do an AK-47 podcast tonight. Just a quick update one, maybe a long one, I don't know. And then we should be back, or we'll see everybody back on Gun Channels tomorrow. Usually Sean does the Good Morning Gun Channels in the mornings. I don't think Heavy's doing a show this week because of his whole movement and everything. That means we'll be back here tomorrow at 7. We already said that. And then Edge tomorrow. So, quote would be inserted here.
Okay, I got one.
Oh, okay.
This one is by Tom Selleck. To me, the excitement is in ordering a fine shotgun, going through the process that everybody who has bought one has gone through for 100 years. You order it, you make a significant down payment, and then you wait 3 or 4 years for the gun to be custom made for you. That's by Tom Selleck because Magnum can apparently wait that long.
Guys and gals of GunWebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching GunWebsites.com.